Them or hate them, storage systems are an integral part of Minecraft. But one thing that has always bothered me in storage systems redstone design is that there's always a cavern of space behind the standard designs that you either have to torch up or you have to fill up. So today I want to show you how to make the flat back storage system, where the redstone has been moved more appropriately on top of the storage chests instead of behind it. If you want a storage system that you can literally put up against the wall, this is the system for you. Next, on Creations.
Welcome to the party, pal. I am Commander Tom, and this is Creations. If you like building like a thinker with a lot of Minecraft tips, tricks, as well as for other survival games, leave a like and subscribe. That is exactly what I am here for. Specific to this video, I have a chest monster. I have chests here. I have chests everywhere. So today we are going to get ourselves a formal storage system. But I want this system to be flush against the wall because that wall is only one block thick. I want my redstone to stay inside here. So I want to show you how we're going to do that. We're going to go vertical. We're going to go ahead and build the redstone system on top of where the storage is. Now I've done a little bit of prototyping and I've placed that andesite there to be a marker block for me. For a storage system, the redstone circuit is fairly simple. You build what I've kind of nicknamed to be a slant 6, in which you take 6 blocks and you need to put them in a slanted diamond formation. Let me go ahead. Okay, so we're on top and knock out these andesite blocks and you'll see what I mean by that slant 6 diagonal. Okay, now this is something that I'll fully acknowledge Impulse SV came up with, but it works so well that if it ain't broke, why fix it? But I will give credit to at least the Minecrafter who taught me. I don't even know if he invented it, but I know he's the video I watched years ago to learn this. Then we'll go ahead and give you a segment view. You've got 6 chests underneath the slant 6 redstone. Let me give you an area. Okay, so you can see that we've got the hopper set up, basically carrying over. Then we have a second line of hoppers that are pointing in to a comparator, and underneath that we have a third row of hoppers going straight down. Now do keep in mind, underneath that row of hoppers we have a chest next to the redstone torch, because we need something that is redstone neutral so that items will completely flow once the comparator is off and the torch is on, and then we're down to just normal gravity feed, so to speak, underneath. Also, I'll give you a close-up here so you can kind of see how the redstone wiring is. Comparator on top, redstone down, then to the repeater underneath, which goes to the redstone pulse under. Here's a great opportunity for a screenshot if you just want to see that for the blueprint. This literally is a tileable design that you can stretch out as long as you want. Let's go ahead and add about 3 more tiles to this design though, and I'll show that on camera so you can see that being built. Start off by putting the slabs for the repeaters on the bottom, put a couple of blocks on either side of the slabs, come around to the front then and grab your redstone torches, and we are going to put those up in front. This is the part that almost always seems to be forgotten, so make sure we're getting that in because that is important. Make sure then we are burying then the repeaters inside this bottom slab here, the ones that feed into the torches. Then we go ahead and put some chests underneath the hoppers. Now do be very careful that the chests stay separate. If the chests merge, that's going to ruin your sorting system. So keep chests individual. If you wanted to use barrels, I wouldn't blame you. Alright, we put some blocks on top, covering and burying the repeaters. Put some dust here for the back 2 rows, making sure those both connect like that. With the redstone merging, that will not cause a problem. That is fine. Put the last 2 rows of blocks up. Get a couple more comparators then. Make sure the comparators are taking the signal off of the hoppers, going straight into the blocks. Come on. Tight spaces. And we're done. Alright, I gotta get some supplies and next. To program your filter, you don't need too much more than just your items. You're going to want to click on the bottom hopper, have half a stack of your materials, plus a named item. Here I'm using feathers named X. Whatever you want, it'll do just fine. So you put in 4 of those named items, plus half a stack to program it. That will filter down, okay, and I'll show you that the redstone is actually picking up the signal here. But if we come on over, you'll see the comparator's on, and you've got 18 items. That's a locked and programmed hopper. And I'll show you that I'll drop some more items into the pipeline, and that they are working through the filter system. You can see 1, 18, 19 bouncing back and forth. Now you've got to use half a stack, because if you use whole stack, that's going to be too much. Because what will happen is you'll have an increased signal that will start to open up the connective redstone, and you'll have those items start to fall down. So just stick to half a stack, your system will do just fine. And one more time for the iron over here, and the half a stack then. Or you could just use 18 items, but half a stack is an easy click for me. Last complicated piece we need to actually put in is a loading station. So let's go ahead and knock that out. Come on over to either side of the build, but you're going to want to get a couple, about 2 deep hole, about 3 spaces in, and then we're going to want to clear this out a little bit further. But what we're going to want to do is get a dropper going horizontal, and then in front of and beneath that dropper, we drop a piece of soul stand. Then we're going to get a couple of hoppers. Now you could just use one, but because I have so many items sometimes, I like to get a little bit of extra hopper room going on. So I'm going to go ahead and get my chests up here. Small chest there, put a double chest on top of it. That way I've got a little bit more room, and aesthetically it still looks good from the front, just like that. And then all those hoppers will then funnel into the dropper. Now we're going to need to dig down a little bit to give ourselves some room for redstone wiring. So what we have here is a 2x8 hole on the same level as the dropper, and we go ahead and put a block directly next to the dropper, and then we'll use a comparator to pull the signal from the dropper through the block. Nice trick about comparators I actually really appreciate. So a comparator next to the block directly into a piece of redstone, pardon me, yep, into a redstone dust to the side that will feed into a repeater. Then we'll go ahead and get a second repeater going into that redstone dust. Then the comparator itself feeds into a block. We dust on top of that block and the catty corner block and underneath. And then we add a block to clip the redstone. We don't want it merging. I'll go ahead and give you a steady shot for the redstone wiring. We'll hop down here, give the system a test by just dropping some items into the dropper. And that lovely sound, and we can see that that works. So the trigger system works fine. Do need to just cover up and bury the redstone, but I'll let you take care of that. That's a pretty simple situation here. Next, and almost last, we need to build a water elevator to get those items upwards towards the top. Since we were smart and we put our soul sand at the bottom, this becomes a pretty simple job. Drop a torch right in that corner since nothing's going to be there. We want to have things well lit. We just make sure we've got all 4 sides covered. And glass, I think, is kind of the default because then you get to see the items go upwards, but you can use any block that you want. Having a partial line of hoppers there is not going to affect this. It's going to be just fine. I am going to go ahead and put just 1 bucket of water at the bottom there, simply because I'm going to be dropping down the chute when I'm done. Let's cushion the landing. Go ahead and put, in this case, I've got 1 wall of stone, so it's going to be then 3 walls of glass. Again, any blocks of your preference will be fine. If I don't use glass, I've started to use trapdoors to become a chute upwards, but again, everyone's personal preference. Whatever you want will do just fine. Just make sure you can have a watertight column all the way up. And do be very careful because we are starting to combine water and redstone. Those two can have disastrous results. So go slow, get it right the first time. Make sure that the water will go all the way up so it will flow then into the hopper line. I'm going to go ahead and put a temporary block to stand on, and I'm going to seal myself up in this tube. And we see that once I put water in there, it'll flow into the hopper line. Down I go. Alright, when we're dealing with this kind of hopper water elevator, I like to use ice as the way I make these things. I just go ahead and pillar upwards on a column of ice rather than the bucket refill trick. I just think the ice works simpler. So I make this column as high as I want to go. I've ran ice columns all the way back up to surface, and I'm living on Y11 right now. And then with a normal pickaxe, not of silk, you just bust the water all the way down, and it's instantly water, and then, yay! If the bubble jets shoot you to the top, it means you've done the build correctly. Can't really complain about that. Go ahead and pop an extra couple of holes out to get me out. We can tell we've got that system working okay. That is the hard part done. Go ahead and get this kind of sealed up. There we are. Come on around to the front and we'll take a look at the system. You can see what the bubbles are going upward. So we've got the soul sand working just fine. Go ahead then and check in some items and watch them go up. So we've got that. We've got the hard part of the mechanics already built. Basically, at this point, then it's expand to your preference.
And at this point, you're looking at aesthetics, but this is what I opted to go with. Basically, a wood and stone variety. Now, I will let you know that I did swap out the slabs and the smooth stone blocks with their brick counterparts, but the redstone works exactly the same. But for your reference, that's the slab that right on the other side is the repeater, and then that is that furthest back block with redstone dust on top of it. I just swapped those out for aesthetics. And this is what the system looks like when you're done. You can tell items going up, and I did finish up the wall there. This stuff is future storage system expansion. There's no redstone there yet, but it's the game plan. We've got Exuma's backpack sorter that I greatly appreciate. That will then funnel into Tango's multi-item sorter. Now I know I'm going to have some questions about what do you do for items that you're not specifically sorting. Well, you have one more row of, hoppers going down into a line of chests. And that's where all the excess goes into. Now, here's one thing that I don't think enough people talk about when it comes with sorting systems. This is what I would call a bulk or a mass sorting system. Now, granted, it's not, it doesn't have the storage capacity as a shulker system, but I don't have shulkers yet. And this is very attainable early to mid game, depending on your definitions of those terms. You can easily have several chests, and you can take these as long or as deep as you want, okay? But these are the items that you get a ton of, okay? We all have a ton of cobble, stone. I have an iron farm. I'm living in some slime chunks, so slime is becoming plentiful. I still do, always for the XP, mine the coal. I'm a bit of a redstoner, so I'm always mining redstone. And then you've got your other, basically, dirt and mine blocks. Dirt, andesite, granite, okay? All of those other blocks. So I think there's a wisdom to sorting off the blocks you have in mass first, then filter out all the other smaller, less common items, okay? If you take a look at what I've done here, This is bits and bobs of stuff, okay? It's miscellaneous. I'm not going to have as many of that. That's what's good for filtering in through here and then further down the line. So when you're designing your storage rooms, think about this. It's smart to skim off the top the big items, and then you can go ahead and get those taken care of. I hope that helped. So when you're designing your storage rooms, think about that at the beginning, okay? Filter off the items that you have most commonly, and then get more and more specific as you develop your system. If tips and tricks like this are things that you enjoy, leave a like and subscribe. I'll be dropping videos like this each week. If you want to see more, that's what the playlists are for. I'm Commander Tom, and I will see you next mine. Thanks.